So we're looking at how the operating system manages the computer memory. OS means operating system. Now, what do we mean by this? All of you know that the computer has got its memory. And this memory consists of what we call RAM and ROM. This is where the computer keeps the things it wants to use, especially instructions, data, and that it wants to use. That memory is called the computer memory. For example, before instructions are executed in a computer, they must be put in the computer memory. And that's why the processor picks them to work on them. There's no instruction that will ever be done by the computer if it's not first put in the memory. Never. Why? Because that is where the processor finds what it's supposed to process and what the computer is supposed to perform. So data and instructions that are meant to be processed or to be used by the computer must be put in the computer memory. But there's one problem. The computer memory has a fixed size. In most cases, it has a fixed what? Size. So the computer memory we're going to be looking at today is RAM in particular. Why? Because this is where instructions and data are put that are going to be processed or to be used by the computer. We're not going to be looking at ROM so much, because all of you know that computer memory consists of RAM and ROM, but we're looking at RAM especially. Now, the computer memory has a fixed size. For example, it can be like 4 GB. 4 GB. So if it has got a fixed size, for example here, assuming our memory has got a fixed size of 4 GB, like this. And then we're having instructions and data that need to be put in that memory. So the memory is having, for example, 4 GB, like this. But then the instructions and data that need to be in the memory are more than 4 GB. For example, you might open a program like GTA, which is 6 GB, Visual Basic, which is 4 GB. You see, they're all open, they need to be performed. But before they are performed, the instructions must be put in the what? In the RAM, which is the main what? Computer memory. But RAM is 4 GB. So it's very clear that these ones can't fit here. These instructions of these programs, all of them cannot fit where? Cannot fit here. So that is where now the operating system comes in and tries to manage how the memory is used. It plans how the memory should be used. For example, it can plan how should the instructions of these programs be put in the memory so that they can fit. It is 4 GB, the 6 GB here, and 4 GB, which is 10 GB, but the operating system must plan that instructions of these must go into this RAM so that they can be performed by the processor. So in this case, what I'm going to be learning basically is how does the operating system, which techniques does it use to manage how the computer memory is used? By managing basically means controlling how instructions and data are put in the main memory. Now, these are the techniques that the operating system uses to manage the computer memory. So memory management techniques include Now, these are techniques that the operating system uses to manage how the computer memory is used. Number one, we have called segmentation. We have called paging. We have called virtual memory. So these are techniques that the operating system uses: segmentation, paging, and virtual memory when managing how the computer memory is used. But the techniques that the operating system uses. Use of what called swapping. Swapping is also there. Is also swapping, it's also there. So there are 4 techniques, but these are the major ones the syllabus requires. So I'm now going to start one by one. I'll begin from segmentation. Now here I have to be very, very attentive. Now, Before we said GTA here is a program called GTA which had got 6 GB instructions. Then we had VB which has got 4 GB. But then let's assume our memory here. Let's assume now our memory is slightly bigger. So assume this is our memory here. And this time our memory, let's assume it's made up of 12 GB. That's our memory. Now, the operating system will decide to split this memory into sections. It can split this memory into sections. Now, it can split this memory into sections in 2 different ways. Before I show it, I tell you the ways. Why does the operating system decide to split the memory into sections? To keep different instructions and data of different programs in different places so they don't mix up. For example, if I've got instructions of the GTA, maybe GTA has got instruction A, instruction B, and C, and each of them is 2 GB, like this. If you are keeping them in a memory, it's not good to keep them in one place, whereby we're having GTA, having all instructions here, then we're having VB. Maybe VB is having a part as E, D, and F. Then we put E, T, and F here in one place. This is not allowed because you're keeping instructions of different programs in one place, but they can mix up and they can corrupt each other. So what the operating system does is you can split. It can split. It can split this memory into different sections. How? For example, let's assume GTA is having 6 GB, but it has got 3 parts. It has 6 GB, but it has got 3 parts or 3 sections. It has instruction A, which is 4 GB, like that. Instruction B, which is 1 GB, and instruction C, which is 1 GB in size. So here, the operating system can decide to split this memory into different sections. Now the sections can have different sizes. Remember, the memory is made up of 12 GB. It can split it into sections. So you can say this first section, it can have 2 GB. The second section can have 3 GB. The third section can have maybe 4 GB. That gives us 5 plus 4, which is 9. Remember, you're saying our memory is 12 what? GB in total. This is the total size of our memory, 12 what? GB. Now this is 2 GB, 2 GB, 3 GB, that is 5, 4 GB, that is 9, and then here 3 GB. Which means now the operating system must split the memory into sections. But these sections have got different sizes. Now that is called segmentation. That is called segmentation. Splitting the memory into different sections but of different sizes. That's called segmentation. Now, how does the operating system put these instructions here? Assuming GTA has got part A of 4 GB, part B of 1 GB, it could put part B here, and could put part A, so part C here, because they fit. They're 1 GB, 1 GB, and this is 2 GB, 3 GB, so they fit. So it can put B and C there. When it comes to part A can fit here. Can put it there. Now when it comes to VB, VB will say it has a total of 4 GB instructions. But let's assume VB has got 2 parts, A and B. Sorry, E and D, where E is 3 GB and D is 1 GB. Those are the instructions for Visual Basic. So here it can put E here because it fits in 3 GB. But when it puts E here, it means the memory is full. So part D cannot fit, or instruction B cannot fit. By the parts, I mean different instructions of each of these programs. Now, how has segmentation worked? Because its memory was split into different sizes, that's called segmentation. And then here, what happens here is this. Each of these instructions don't even have to occupy. Like, see, if you look at GTA, it's having part B, part C, part A there. Because part B, C fit here, then A, part B and C fit here and A fits here. But the computer even can decide to put, to say, in this part here, let me put instruction E for B because it fits. Then can try to put here B because B fits there. That also can happen. But now in segmentation, this is not allowed. In segmentation, this is not allowed. What do I mean by that? If I'm having parts of GTA, they need to be kept close to each other, like this, B, C, and A. These all must be kept in memory locations which are close to each other, close, that follow each other. Why? Because they are coming from the same program. Now, this is called occupying contiguous memory. This is called contiguous memory. Why? Because the instructions of one program must be kept in memory locations that come one after another, which means the memory positions are continuous, from continue. They're continuous. And that means now they're occupying what we call contiguous memory. Contiguous memory means continuous memory locations that are one after another. So that's how segmentation works. For segmentation, here, the different parts, the different instructions of one program must be kept in memory locations that come one after another. That is a must. So here, we could not have B. No, sorry, part E. Oh, sorry. This is E. We could not put part E here to mix up with instructions of GTA. Yet part E is from Visual Basic. That's not allowed. Whereby we shall have part B of GTA here. We skip one space. We go to part again C here. That's not allowed. Because that means you're occupying non-contiguous memory. That is done in what we call paging. Shall look at paging later. So 2 points you've learned about segmentation. Memory is split into different sections of different sizes. That's 1 point. Then instructions coming from the same program must be kept in memory locations that are one after another or that follow one another. And that's called contiguous memory locations. That's now segmentation. Another point about segmentation is this. Another point of segmentation is this. Assuming part C, instruction C has been finished of GTA, and then it leaves this space. But we want to put part B of VB, which is the second program. We cannot put part B there. Why? Because here we have part B of GTA, then we skip one location, then we can put part A of GTA. That's not allowed. Why? Because it means that now these parts of GTA are not occupying contiguous memory. Their memory locations are not one after another. That is not allowed. So what will the computer do in this case? So for segmentation here, what happens? Here, if we have space, free space, is it okay? Free space, but this free space is not creating contiguous memory, or is not enough. What the computer does is this. It will combine, or it can shift. In this case, it's going to shift the jobs. So it will shift A to come here. So what B and A, since they're coming from one program, they are occupying contiguous memory. But does A fit here? A is 4 GB. Now, 4 GB can't fit in 3 GB. What does the computer do in that case? First have A fit here. So that you can have contiguous memory. It's going to combine the free space with this other space. to create 7 GB. So you find that memory locations now have been put together to create one space, which is enough to harbor our instruction A. So what has the operating system done? It has got the free spaces and combined them with other spaces to create one free space, which creates contiguous memory for GTA. Now, after doing that, what does it do now? D here, is it okay? For D here now, it can create another space so that D can fit here. Remember, having 5 plus, this is it's already 12, sorry. It's already 12. So in this case here, it means that D won't have space still. Won't have space still. If it does like this. Alternatively, it could do this. Alternatively, we could do this. Our free space was 3 GB, and then here we add part B. Here we add A, which was occupying 4 GB. Alternatively, for D to fit to be put here, the operating system could say, let me combine this free space with let me shift this. Let me shift this free space to come down. That's also very possible. Now, it could move A here and move the free space. So that we have 3 GB here. So here we shall be having 4 GB here and 3 GB here, which is now free. So that now it can put D here. So that now D and E are together. What does the operating system do? What has it done? What it has done is basically it has shifted the jobs. It has shifted the jobs and the free spaces. So that now the new job or task can fit here, but while using contiguous memory. So all these are done in segmentation. But the point here is that the tasks coming from one program must occupy contiguous memory. Another alternative could be this. Assuming our memory is still 12 GB, but the operating system has split it like this. So here, we have part A, we have part B, we have part C, then we have part E here. And then we have another part which is empty. Remember, in total is 12 GB. A is occupying 4 GB here. Maybe it fits. Then B is 1 GB, but here we're having 2 GB. And then C is 1 GB, but here we're having 2 GB. That gives us a total of 8 GB. Then E here is 3 GB. And then here we're having 1 GB. This gives us a total of 12. It means that the operating system must split the memory into different sizes. But they all give us 12 GB, which is okay. Now we want to put in part D. In this case, it's very possible when this is coming, it can fit here, which is okay, because this is 1 GB. That is 1 GB. Now, assuming VB add another part, which is maybe F, but F is 2 GB and needs to come into this memory. Right now, it cannot fit because the memory is full. But let's assume F is 3 GB. Now, and we assume that C is done. C is done. C is not there. And maybe instruction D is also done. So you find that F is 3 GB, but now memory have got 2 spaces that are free. See? And those spaces give us 3 GB. What will the operating system do? What the operating system basically will do will be shifting these free spaces both of them, 1 GB and 2 GB, actually shifting E, okay? Or combine these free spaces together. So it will shift E. It will shift what? E. So when it shifts E, it means that here we shall have this 1 GB come up here, which was free. And then E will come here, where we shall have the 3 GB now come here. So that now these two spaces together can be combined to give us 3 GB. Then here to be able to put F. What has the operating system done here in segmentation? If a task is coming into the memory position, into the memory, but the free memory positions are not enough, the operating system shifts the tasks which are in the memory, and then it combines the empty spaces to get one empty space or section where now the new task can be put. But there's a problem here. There's a problem here. You see, before we shifted the free spaces here, we had 2 GB here, and we had 3 GB here, where E was. And then here we had what? We had 1 GB. Now remember in year 12 that each of these positions must be having addresses. So assuming it is address 100, this one address 101, this is address 102, this is address 103, and this is address 104. I'm now showing you the disadvantages of segmentation. Okay? So assuming these memory locations, all of them have got addresses. This is address 101, address 102, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104. These are the memory addresses of these locations. Now, if the operating system realizes that F is coming here, but then it cannot fit in the empty spaces, so I need to shift the jobs, shifting the tasks, so we can create empty space which is enough. So in this case means that if it is shift E to come here, like this, it means now these addresses here, you see, these addresses are going to change. Why? Because it's going to have, which was 104 is going to combine with this. You see? So the 1 GB which is free will come here. Then the 3 GB will come here. Remember, the 3 GB was in 103 as the address. Now here we are having 104 and we're having 103. What does this mean? This means that after shifting the jobs, the operating system must calculate new addresses that are going to be in order. How? It will combine this to give us 3 GB here. When it combines that, now it will name this 102. Then it will get this 3 GB of E to become 103. You see? So it means now it has calculated new addresses. Why? Because we have new memory locations. So that is one disadvantage of segmentation and one fact about it. That if tasks have been shifted to create enough space for a new task, then the memory addresses have to be recalculated to fit the new memory sections. So that is when F now will come there. So that is how segmentation basically works. But the key things you have to know is tasks of one program must occupy contiguous memory. They can't occupy non-contiguous memory. They can't be scattered. They must be in memory locations one after another. That is one technique. How about paging? How about paging? Now for paging, here, assuming we have our instructions, our program GTA. GTA has got 3 instructions, A, B, and C. Then we have VB with 3 instructions, D, E, and F. They all need to be carried out. Now look what happens in paging. So we're going to use the same memory, which is going to be 12 GB. In paging, what the operating system does is this. It's going to divide this memory into sections, but this time, the sections must be of the same size. So if you have 12 GB and we split it like 4 times, it means each of these locations must have 3 GB. 3 GB each of them. So each of the memory locations must be having the same sizes. These memory locations in computer science, we call them partitions. You get? Memory partitions or sections. They must be of the same sizes, not like segmentation where they can be of different sizes. And then on top of that, after splitting the memory into sections with the same sizes, it also goes and splits the program or instructions into different parts of the same sizes that fit here. So it can say that I'm going to split GTA in form of A, B, and C. But then A should have 2 GB maybe. 2 GB. And then 2 GB. You see? Then B is of 4 GB. So if D is having 4 GB, it means that in this case here, it can split it into 2 sections. D can have 2 GB and E can have 2 GB. You see? Or it can decide to split VB into 4 sections. D having 1 GB, E having 1 GB, F having 1 GB, and then G having 1 GB. You see? 4 sections. What's the essence of that? By splitting these tasks into the same sizes and the memory of the same sizes, it means that each of these can occupy any position. For example, you don't have to put here A, B, C for GTA. No. In paging, what happens? Each of these sections, now, these are called memory pages, these sections here of the memory, but then these are called job pages, The sections of each task are called job pages. Job, because this is a job to be performed. This is a job we are performing, the task we are performing. So these different tasks of the memory here are called job pages. Job what? Job pages. These ones here. These are called job pages. Now the essence is this. Instead of putting A, B, C here, in paging, this is what happens. The computer will look for the instruction which is important at that time. And say, please, right now we need only A. So you put A here. A of GTA is needed to put it there. Then you might find that B and C are not important right now. So do not put them in the memory. But then try this for VB, D is important. So it puts D here. And then E is important for VB. It puts E there. Then realizes C for GTA is important. It puts C there. What has it done? Number one, it has loaded only the instructions which are important at the time. And then the instructions of different tasks don't occupy memory locations that are one after another. Why? Because this memory, these tasks here are what called the job pages. They fit anywhere here. That's why it can keep them in any location which is non-contiguous. So A is here in the first location, A, but part C of GTA is this side. It's not A, then C, because they're all from GTA, like in segmentation. No. A can be here, C can be here, anywhere. So here, tasks can occupy non-contiguous memory because these tasks are split into parts that fit into different parts of the memory. So they can occupy non-contiguous memory locations which are not one after another. Then number two, in paging here, since these are parts of the instructions can fit in these memory locations, the point is not have to put all of them at a go, like in segmentation. No. You get? Or you don't have to shift any tasks when putting new jobs. Shifting, no, to create new space. Why? These spaces are enough for every task which is coming. So now, what the operating system does here is to choose, it only puts in the memory one of these tasks that are important at the time. It's what it puts in the memory. And this allows better multitasking. If I find A is from Facebook, E is from, so here GTA, D is from VB, E is from VB, C is from GTA, you see? It just puts only the instructions or tasks that are important at the time. That's what? Paging. What's the advantage for paging? It does not waste time. In case new tasks are coming, there's no need of shifting tasks to create new space because tasks fit already in the spaces. That is one thing. Then it allows the use of contiguous memory, which means it avoids the wasting time of shifting tasks. And then the memory locations don't have to be recalculated in paging like it is in segmentation. Those are the advantages for paging. Now, another technique uses virtual memory. What is virtual memory? For example, here, this is how virtual memory works. For example, here we might have instruction G, which wants to join this memory, but this memory is full. So if this memory is full, remember this instruction must be put here in the memory to go to the processor. Now, if the memory is full, the computer is going to use virtual memory. So it will put G in virtual memory. Virtual memory basically means the memory which is created on the hard disk. So it is going to be the hard disk or the hard drive. So it will go to the hard disk here or the hard drive, and then it will put G here. Why? Because G cannot fit here, the memory is full. But we have to tell the computer G was supposed to go into the memory. So it will put G here on the hard disk. So this is the hard disk. So it will put G here, first of all. Then G will wait here. It means G is occupying virtual memory. This memory is not the actual computer memory, but it's just virtual on the surface of the hard disk. Why? Because this memory is full. Yet G is supposed to go to the processor, so it will keep waiting here on the hard disk. This is called virtual memory. Another alternative is this. G might come, and it's very, very important. But inside the memory, we have a task like maybe E, which is not important. Right now, D is more important than E. So here, since the memory is full, E can be removed first and taken to the hard disk, right there. So that now G can come here, you see? So here we have moved E from the main memory because not so important and the memory is full. So it can be kept in the hard disk in the what called virtual memory to wait here until when all these are done because it's not very important. That's what I mean by the use of virtual memory. So virtual memory is used when the memory is full. How? To either put a new instruction which is coming, but the memory is full, and you keep it waiting in the virtual memory on the surface of the hard disk, or you can remove, if the memory is full, you can remove a redundant instruction or data from the memory and keep them to wait here on the surface of the hard disk. So now the new instructions are very important and we can get chance to use the processor. That's the use of virtual memory. Then swapping. Swapping means this. I remove E, I put G. You see? That is called swapping. You're interchanging, you're removing instructions, you're moving instructions and data between the memory and the hard disk. Means you're swapping. You're keeping on changing them between this and this. Now, virtual memory has got a disadvantage. What's a disadvantage? If we keep shifting jobs between the hard disk and the memory like this, that one causes the hard disk to be overworked and causes a problem called disk thrashing. It causes a problem called what? Disk thrashing, like this. Disk what? Thrashing. Now, this thrashing can make the hard disk to stop working. Disk thrashing, it's like this. And that one can lead the hard disk to break down. So I'm going to send you videos to expand more on this. Is it okay? And then I'm going to send this video and also other videos. There's a guy from Toriel's Point. I'm going to send for you about paging. You must find out about the paging table and all that. But first, make notes from this video. Okay, I'm ending here because my Zoom, after 40 minutes, it can resume after like 20 minutes because it's not paid for. So I'm ending here. Let me send you the video. Make notes the remaining time. Is it okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Good. Let me send the videos,